Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. UFC Garcia versus Onama just ended and we are going to be doing a recap of the main card only. Because to be honest, the prelims were okay, but there wasn't too much to write home about, you know? So we're going to start off with the main card. We are actually going to go over the Elekana versus Kevin Christian fight because that one I think is good. But yeah, let's start off with that. I picked Elekana. I felt like he just had more experience, better toolkit, more conditioned. His body looked in better shape. Yeah, Kevin Christian got comically KO'd in round one. Well, not exactly KO'd, but he got caught on the chin, ended up falling backwards very comically, but he wasn't totally out. So then Elekana jumped on top of him, flattened him out, and was trying to choke him. But the thing is that it was hard to see Kevin Christian's face, and one of his hands was underneath his body. He had his right hand out, and he actually tapped. But the ref was so busy just looking at his face, I guess. And, I mean, eventually he noticed that his other arm was limp. But, yeah, I feel like that was, like, a weird and unfortunate moment. I feel like the ref totally could have seen that tap, although I don't know. It's hard to... I do think he probably reacted in a decent enough way. But, yeah, I would say that Kevin Christian looked mildly traumatized after that. Like, this was his first big boy fight, you know? And he just got cooked like that, got slept. He was breathing. His breathing looked choppy. He literally looked like a victim on the ground. Yeah. Rough time for him. Hopefully the refs in the UFC stop drinking high fructose corn syrup like it's not anybody's business, because I just feel like I've noticed people in general, not just the UFC refs, have been a lot more checked out and dissociated these days. But I feel like if you're a ref, you can't be that way. Just that's part of your job, is to pay attention to these things and make the right calls. Anyways, I don't know. That's my opinion on that. Maybe it wasn't such a bad call, but yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Allan Nascimento versus Cody Durden. Guys, I feel like I predicted this fight perfectly. I picked Allan Nascimento to win. I knew that Cody Durden was going to have an explosive first round, but after he gasses, he would just be like prime submission victim. That's exactly what happened. Cody Durden used up all of his energy in the first round. He started already slowing down towards the end. Now, Nascimento stayed alive. He did eat some of these shots, but it wasn't anything too dangerous. He was just kind of knocked off balance, and he kept getting pushed back to the cage. But yeah, round two came around. It was like Cody Durden's guard dissolved. I don't know. He just couldn't remain locked in, and he got hit with something. I think it was a hook that got him, but he fell and then just got choked out. So I think that was a perfect prediction, like beautiful outcome. I literally was like, okay, yeah, he's gonna get a second or third round sub, and he got it in the beginning of the second. So awesome to see. Let's move on to the next one. Charles Radtke versus Daniel Frunza. Yeah, Daniel Frunza can't handle chaos. My prediction was Charles Radtke. And in the first round, I feel like Charles almost finished him. Like, I feel like his arm was pretty tight around Daniel Frunza's neck. But Daniel Frunza somehow managed to stay alive and, like, take his arm off. So good for him, I guess. But then he had to endure another round of violence. And he did actually end up getting choked out in the third, same way that he would have gotten choked out in the first. But yeah, Daniel Frunza spent most of this fight on the ground, eating damage from Charles Radtke. Absolutely no answers. And the most amazing thing to me was too, like when he would be in these bottom positions, Charles was on top. Instead of trying to outmaneuver himself or advance to a better position, he would just start attacking from the bottom, and we all know that, like, the attacks from the bottom aren't going to be as significant. So I feel like it was a total waste of time and just a bad game plan. Honestly, that just showed to me that he doesn't have great fight IQ, which is also sad because I'm not, like, Charles Radtke he's more of an emotional fighter, so sometimes I just feel like he doesn't always make the best choices. But yeah, I feel like this time his approach totally worked out. Daniel Frunza seemed to crumble when he just didn't get his way. Yeah, solid win for Charles Radtke. Let's on to the next one. Isaac Dulgarian versus Yadier del Valle. Isaac Dulgarian got the Uno reverse card pulled on him. We all thought that like he was going to be the one to come out strong and put the pressure on with the grappling, but no. It all happened so fast. I feel like my screen was also buffering as this was all happening, but Yadier basically ended up flattening him out and choking him out with the rear naked choke. Another interesting thing is that a lot of you guys were saying that a lot of money suddenly came in on Yadier before the fight. I don't know if there was something that I was not aware of, but yeah, Yadier won. The one thing about Isaac is that I feel like he doesn't adjust well. Like, he has his game plan, and if it doesn't go his way, then it's like game over basically. So I feel like that's kind of what ended up happening here. Anyways, let's move on to the next one, guys. Jeremiah Wells versus Themba Gorimbo. Oh, man. I guess Themba's kids are going to go hungry for a while because turns out they weren't as important to him as he claimed they were. He's gonna have a lot of explaining to do tonight. I actually did pick Themba Gorimbo, and he looked pretty good in the first round. He was looking slicker, quicker. I feel like he just kind of expended all of his energy in that first round. Because in the second and third, he just kept getting taken down and he wasn't able to get back up. And especially in the third, you could tell how gassed he was because he was in positions where he could have done more and just ended up basically ended up submitting to whatever that was. Sad to see. I feel like maybe he could have had the chance to win, but especially in the third, dude, he was doing, like, I guess he was trying to keep it on the feet. I think maybe he could have gone for a takedown himself, but I think he was trying to just avoid getting into a grapple with Jeremiah Wells. Obviously, that wasn't Jeremiah Wells' plan because he went straight for the takedown. It was a little difficult to get. Maybe, I don't know about difficult, but like Jeremiah just kind of charged for him and Themba tried to backtrack as much as possible, but ended up getting taken down. And yeah, of course, he couldn't get back up. So that's how that round ended. Round 1 went to Themba. Round 2 went to Jeremiah. And then, yeah, Themba had nothing left to give in the third. All of the energy was gone. Sad times for Themba Gorimbo. Sad times. I feel like, yeah, he's got a lot to think about now. Anyways, let's move on to the next one, guys. Waldo Cortes Acosta versus Ante Delija. Oh my god, this was one of the craziest fights I've seen. First of all, I don't think I've ever seen a fight that looked like it ended and everybody thought that it ended for a second and then got restarted. Because usually when a fight ends like that, it's either like a no contest or just a shitty win for a fighter. But Ante Delija did try and intimidate Waldo from the beginning. He looked pretty fierce, like he was in this hunting mode. But, well, see, I told you guys, I picked Waldo Cortes Acosta. Sorry, let me just give me a moment. I picked Waldo Cortes Acosta. I'm so glad I did. But again, Waldo Cortes Acosta has seen these types of pressure heavy dudes before, so I felt like he wouldn't get too flustered. Okay, he did have a moment in that first round before the eye scrape, we're gonna get into this, where he was eating a few shots from this combination that Ante Delija threw, but it wasn't so bad. It was just that Ante Delija ended up scraping his hand by Waldo's eyeball, and almost immediately Waldo just turns and covers himself. And that's when Delija starts battering his head, thinking that, okay, he won. Ref, like, calls it. Delija walks away, like, runs away doing the thing to the sky. And then immediately my reaction was, wait, but why did he do that? He wasn't even getting hit. We were all questioning this as well. They showed the replay. Turns out, oh, it was a really bad eye scrape. You couldn't really tell how it looked on video, though. Like, it was hard for me to see how bad it was because Delija's head was kind of covering most of the shot. But Waldo's eye was basically half closed, like super puffy and watery and red. So we can just assume that it was bad. But some time passed. The doctor checked out his eye. Everyone was discussing what to do, and then the fight restarted. There was a minute and a half left of that round, and the fight just restarted. I've never seen this happen before. I was so happy to see it too, because I felt like that was such a lame ending if it was to end on that shitty eye scrape. But yeah, the fight restarts. Waldo's out there looking a little squinty in his left eye and basically gets an instant fucking KO finish. He pulls the Uno reverse card on Ante Delija. It was a thing of art. I tell you, it was a thing of art. It was like Drew Dober locking in after kicking Kyle Prepolek in the balls. And then when that restarted, he just went out and destroyed him. That's basically what happened here. I can't imagine also how demoralizing it must have felt for Ante Delija to have thought that he just won, right? He thought he just got a KO finish, and then to have to restart with a locked in Waldo now, because Waldo had that moment in time to kind of recalibrate himself, and so he comes back locked in, facing a demoralized Ante Delija, gets clipped. Ante gets clipped on the chin. Falls down. That's it. Waldo goes for the ground and pound. It's over. It's over. What a crazy win for Waldo Cortes Acosta. And then at the end, he's out there holding the little block of ice on his eye. Dude, crazy. Last week, Tom Aspinall's right eye got cooked. This week, we got Waldo Cortes Acosta with the left eye. What's going on, yo? What's going on with the eye, folks? Yeah, what do you guys think is the solution for this? Should they, I wonder if the solution was to continue the fight. I mean, it makes sense to me, because I feel like a no contest or a disqualification would have sucked. So I'm glad they restarted. It's just, I guess it wasn't enough time for Ante Delija to lock back in, Because he was pacing around the octagon as they were trying to come to a conclusion of how to proceed. He was just pacing around looking stressed, looking frustrated. Yeah, crazy fight. I don't know, man. I don't know. All I have to say is, dude, I picked Waldo Cortes Acosta. And speaking of which, I recommended you guys a lot of good picks this week. We went 10-3. So hey, I'll take that. I think that's pretty solid. So anyways, let's move on to the final one, guys. Steve Garcia versus David Onama. I picked Steve Garcia, of course, just like everybody else, because we all knew that David Onama had no chance. He is too much of a polite fighter to understand how to deal with the onslaught of Steve Garcia. Dude, Steve Garcia looked so sharp. Just straight out the gate. Super slick. He had a game plan for every initiation that he made. Like, he would go in with a jab or a hook and then follow it up with a sneaky uppercut. I thought his performance looked so beautiful. Super impressive. The whole time, I was just watching Steve Garcia's face. He looked locked in and serious. And then there was David Onama's face, looking worried. Worried and lost. So this was the dynamic. Steve Garcia, locked in, serious. David Onama, worried and lost. The other thing that I noticed about Steve Garcia is when he actually wobbled David Onama, he didn't just unlock his entire adrenaline reservoir. He only unleashed the right amount of rage necessary without, going over the border of safety. You know what I mean? Like Michal Aleksiejczuk, for instance, is a good example. Going all in on Kevin Holland when it wasn't super safe, and then getting armbarred, So I thought that was super impressive that it took Steve Garcia 3 little moments to fully get that finish, because David Onama just kept getting back up after getting knocked down. I really felt like I was watching an artist almost, like a crazy angry artist work. You know what I mean? It was so beautiful, super skillful. I just feel like Steve Garcia is one of the most reliable fighters. How can you... I don't know. I feel like it'll be really hard to really get him. He called out Max Holloway at the end of that fight. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like Max Holloway would actually do some damage to Steve Garcia. The only thing is, though, I feel like Max Holloway isn't going to finish you off one strike. It would have to be multiple. And I feel like Steve Garcia wouldn't really put himself in that position. He looked really slick out there. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about Steve Garcia versus Max Holloway? Anyhow, guys, this was a pretty solid night of fights. I would say the main card delivered. Prelims were okay, but yeah, main card was solid. And those are all my thoughts that I have. Once again, Waldo, Cortes, Acosta, just using the fucking eye poke to his advantage. It makes me wonder what Tom Aspinall would have done to Cyril Gahn had he continued after his eye poke. Because Waldo, Cortes, Acosta came back, eye watery as fuck, but just got that finish. But I think there's a difference though. Because I feel like Waldo knew that he totally could. And I actually think that Tom sensed some doubt within himself. And I totally understand his choice. I mean, actually, that's actually a very different situation, too. Like, Tom Aspinall got his eyes dug into completely, and this was a scrape. So, I don't know. But, solid night of fights overall. Epic performances from Waldo and Steve. And also Charles Radtke. Super solid performance. Oh, I almost forgot about the singing bowl, guys. But, yeah, on that note, I'll see you guys soon for next week's predictions. I've been doing pretty well in predictions overall. And even on the picks that I get wrong, I feel like sometimes you just know when something's gonna go the way you think. And sometimes you also know that you're not fully sure and the outcome is unpredictable. So in those cases, if you are betting, then just avoid those unpredictable fights and only bet on the ones that you feel extremely certain about. And yeah, follow this channel for that kind of information because I feel like my intuition is pretty good. When it comes to these things, if you've been here for long enough, you know what I mean. But yeah, if you like this video, like it, subscribe if you want more content like this, and let me know if you want me to make any other kinds of videos. I know that I have been taking some suggestions from you, but if I get enough of them, then I might actually deliver. So if a lot of you guys want me to do something, then I might. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed your Halloweens.